Ladies and gentlemen, everyone around and in between, it is Debate Sensei NFA LD edition. We talk about things relevant to competitive debate for the National Forensics Association Lincoln Douglas event. I have with me the director of debate at University of Nebraska-Lincoln, Dr. Justin Kirk. Thank you once again, Justin, for being here.
Absolutely, Jared. And it's kind of the next to last tournament of our regular season. There's one more kind of tournament next weekend at Sac State, but the Grand Prix that we're talking about today is the last kind of big national circuit competitive tournament that happens before nationals. And so I'm pretty excited to talk about the results and some of the awards that happened and things like that.
Excellent. So let's take a look here. I'm taking a look at some of these entries. It's not bad. Oh, man. Okay. So we have about 30 people in open, about 15 in novice. So you're getting close to, 75.
Pretty healthy size tournament for this year. Yeah. Given kind of the inconsistencies in the calendar this year, I think that like this tournament, the Gorlock, a couple others had about 30 or 40 teams in open. That's kind of what this was one of the bigger tournaments this year. So yeah.
Yeah, it looks like, and from coast to coast, we got like from Florida to Fullerton. Yeah, excellent. Okay, but everyone met up in Kansas City.
Well, this year's edition was held online.
Oh, it was. Okay.
Yes, a lot of folks, I think, decided with the travel to nationals. Our team in particular, our spring break is this week. We had so many students who wanted to go home, who were not going to be on campus, that were leaving on Thursday, things like that. It was just a lot of logistical things. I think that it was just one of those weird coincidence years where I think more than enough people were online that it just ended up being online for the weekend. So
okay,
yeah,
okay. But this tournament has a few other elements to it that are unique to it. I'm specifically talking about a number of awards outside of just competition.
Yeah, so a little bit of history about this tournament. It was founded 7 years ago by the LD Coaches Association, which is kind of an informal group of coaches, volunteers, college coaches in the LD circuit. And it was idea was like, we don't really have specific debate awards for the year. We go to nationals, we compete, we get speaker awards at nationals, but there's no real recognition of like the, competitive success throughout the regular season. The coaching that goes on, the judging that happens, the new debaters that are coming out. And so one of the ideas was they started the Grand Prix about 7 years ago, had a traveling trophy. And then I think it was about 4 years ago, maybe 5, they started offering a lot of these awards. The All-American team, the emerging debaters are voted on by the Coaches Association. The coach and the judge of the year voted on by the Coaches Association. And then there's a student choice award that's voted on by the students at the tournament. And I will make one caveat is that, the Grand Prix has a kind of invitational condition that like all these awards are given to students who attend the Grand Prix. So this may not be a complete list of everybody who competed this year. In fact, there's some students who did not come to this tournament that are notably missing. Folks like Zach Jones from North Texas, who obviously would probably be in the top 10. Zachary Wallenberg from my team, who's probably, somewhere in there as well. So I think there's a kind of a group of students who didn't come to this tournament that won't be mentioned today, but like will be at nationals and are just as competitive and capable as everybody that we're going to talk about today. So,
okay. Well, let's talk about some of these other awards because they're nice recognitions.
Yeah, let's start with the Student Choice Award. This one goes to basically somebody who represents kind of community values, both in competitive success and kind of community kind of ethos and character. Their interactions with other debaters really matter. Their interactions with judges,
right?
And I think that this is. A lot of people call this a popularity award, but I really think this is more of a community service award. You're the debater who everybody kind of thinks is like the best community member, And if you wanted to like lose a debate to somebody, typically this is kind of like what the award goes to because they lose with grace, they win with grace. They don't ever come after judges or competitors for things they disagree about.
Right.
The exact kind of things we're looking for in this community. And this year it went to Sebastian Gloss of Florida State.
Okay.
Who is an incredible debater. I think was maybe in quarters last year of nationals, and won one of the All-American Team Awards this year. So
really nice.
And Florida State's one of those programs that's relatively new. Avery Henry's been there for 3 or 4 years, I think now, and they're just Sebastian's one of their first wave of nationally competitive debaters that's come through. So it's really great to see him win that award.
Do you have any background on any of the community service that he does, or like any examples?
No, I mentioned I didn't mean it literally as a community service award. I meant more as like a building like the community up as a kind of like so more so like just he's involved in discussions online. He is active in kind of the circles of kind of communication, discussion, team building, community building stuff that I see around. I think everybody kind of respects the heck out of Sebastian, and respects the kind of debater that he is. So,
well, Sebastian, you're welcome on this program anytime as well. All right, so excellent.
All right, let's talk about some emerging debaters.
Yes. So what's this award about?
This award goes to somebody who's in their first year, that is kind of like on the up and up. Typically these debaters are debaters who've had a lot of success in either novice or JV divisions all year. Maybe even, peeking into open here or there. So these debaters typically are kind of representative of next year's kind of Rising Stars round robin, stuff like that. Students you might see clear at nationals if, they catch a heater, because the first year can always get a good run at nationals and, get to doubles, get to octos, things like that. So, and these awards went to Gabrielle Smith from Fullerton College, Emily Maroka from Illinois State University, and Liv Walker from Nebraska Lincoln. So, 3 excellent debaters, all really hard debates, and have had a lot of really good competitive success this year. So,
and it's nice that they're all like sort of geographically dispersed too. That's pretty nice.
Yeah, absolutely. One from the 1.5 from the Midwest. Like there's a debate over whether or not Illinois or Nebraska are in the Midwest. Right. Fullerton's definitely West Coast. You're not going to lose that debate. So, and then they gave out a Judge of the Year and Coach of the Year award. The Judge of the Year is Danny Stanfield. Excellent judge. One of the better kind of experienced judges on the circuit, as far as like everybody kind of prefers them when you have a preference sheet. Debated at UNLV in college and on the NDT circuit. So lots of high-level policy experience, lots of NFA LD experience, just really great feedback. I judged a couple rounds with them this weekend, and just a fantastic judge who really thinks about all the arguments in the debate, makes sure to cover anything that might be relevant to the debaters in a given debate. So really excellent judge, deserving of that award.
The feedback element I think would probably be the easiest way to like determine who you'd want to elect.
And good ballots. Good answers to questions, right? Good RFDs, like thoughtful decisions. Somebody who literally will talk about every sheet of paper, even if it wasn't gone for in the NR, right? Here's what you could have done better. Here's what I'd like to see next time. Stuff like that.
Good stuff.
Coach of the Year award went to Colin Quinn from the University of North Texas. Very deserving award. Colin's been coaching at North Texas for as long as I can remember, probably almost a decade now. And I would say every debater who's come through North Texas in the last year would have wonderful things to say about Colin, because as a competitor, as a fellow coach, as somebody who, judges on panels with Colin all the time, same stuff about Danny. Like Colin is an excellent judge who thinks about debates really, really hard, coaches the heck out of debaters, thinks about novice debate and JV debate a lot, right? One of the strengths of the North Texas program is they're always producing novice debaters and JV debaters up through the ranks, making them better. This year, they've got an NDT team that's going to the NDT. I think they finished 6th in District 3. And so, like, coaching an NFA LD team, having success there with somebody who was in finals of NFA last year, and then also having that debater be on an NDT team that's going to the NDT this year as a district's bid. Just really incredible coach that can do a lot of work and is evidenced by their success in multiple formats. So,
okay. So we have the coach of the year, and it's funny that he shares a name with a fairly famous comedian too.
Yes.
All right.
I don't know the other Colin Quinn personally, but I prefer this one, to be honest.
Okay. All right, and so then we had, and so you were talking about the All-American team. But
yes.
So let's talk about who.
So the All-American Awards are given out to any debater who, I think it's you enter your debaters who are in the tournament for a ranking nationally. They kind of collaborate, like they get all the records from throughout the year. And they give out 10 or up to 10% of the tournament. So the idea was, like, if this tournament grows and there ends up being like 120 teams some years in the future, you'd want to honor 10% of the field, right?
Got it.
But up until that time, this basically serves as kind of an end of season top 10. The coaches vote on this, spend a bit of time thinking about the records. Head-to-head matchups, I think, in my mind, are really important, right? Who beat who in big rounds. The bigger the round, the deeper the elim, the more important the win, that kind of stuff. And so calculating those things. And, if you're looking at the All-American team list, which for those of you who are interested, you can find this. It takes a second. You got to dig into the tab room emails for the tournament. But it's in the Saturday email for the tournament. And so let's start with like number 10 and work our way up to number 1 and talk about each of these folks. So number 10 was Chase Shockley from Western Kentucky. All-around solid debater, second-year debater from Western Kentucky.
Nice.
Gonna be a consistent threat at every tournament they're at.
Right.
Constantly clearing. Reads a variety of arguments. Chase is a really hard debater to debate. In that they can go for anything. Critiques are their preference, but they tend to read disad counterplans in a lot of debates. They read policy asks. There's a lot of flexibility there, and that's just a tough debate.
Yeah.
Number 9 was our Student Choice Award winner, Sebastian Gloss from Florida State. I actually got to judge Sebastian against Ray from Western Kentucky in one of the later out rounds, and I was extremely impressed with the way Sebastian was debating this weekend. Anybody who's got Florida State on their case list, y'all better be careful, because Sebastian was debating really well this weekend, not making a whole lot of mistakes, exceedingly clear debating. Efficient, fast, smart argumentation, all that stuff. So definitely belongs in the top 10. Number 8 from Western Kentucky was Antonina Clementi. Was one of the closeout finalists at the Western Kentucky tournaments. I also think was either winner or co-champion of the Lewis and Clark tournament this year. Just tough debater, I think, in their 4th year at Western Kentucky. So senior at Western Kentucky, always been really, really solid debater for them.
Okay.
Number 7 is the second debater from Washburn on this list, Andrew Rea, one of their seniors this year. Andrew is, I think, if I'm remembering correctly, Andrew was the last Washburn debater in the tournament. Yes. So Andrew was the last surviving Washburn debater at the Grand Prix this year.
Okay.
It's hard to talk about this tournament with winners. I kind of talk about it as with survivors. The Sunday is so long. Surviving is more of a bid than actually like, oh yeah, you won the tournament. No, I survived the tournament. Is more I was the one whose brain fell apart the least as we got to round 7, round 8 of the day. But yeah, Andrew Rea was the one who lasted the longest for Washburn. Great debater. I think broke a new-ish AF this weekend, an AF about Palestine and deportation of students. So something relevant in the news.
Yes.
Was on the new argument grind before the Grand Prix. Somebody to watch out for at Nationals. Number 6 was Grant McKeever from Nebraska-Lincoln, our very own Grant McKeever. You know, I've already said all you ever say about Grant positively to me, myself, and my team, but like Grant's an amazing debater. He works really hard. He debates really hard, and definitely somebody who belongs up here.
Okay.
Number 5 is Sage Carter from Western Kentucky. She has been debating at Western Kentucky for the last year or so. Tough debater, and I think was the other half of the round robin pairing that closed out the round robin for Western Kentucky.
Okay.
Right. So won their pot at the round robin. Beat Zach Wallenberg in the 5th round of the round robin. And
that's
so
impressive.
Top 5 debater. Yeah. Number 4, Quinn Largent from Kansas City, Kansas Community College. This is probably, I think, the biggest, maybe not surprise, but the biggest, like, you wouldn't have known this person would have been on this list last year. I think a lot of this list was kind of fairly predictable after the end of last year. Quinn's a first year at Kansas City, Kansas Community College, who always has good debaters. But Quinn just kind of came out of nowhere and started like getting to finals at tournaments, started getting to semis at tournaments, beating good debaters in prelims. And the thing about Quinn is kind of what I said about Chase, and a lot of debaters like this are dangerous. Quinn can read anything.
Okay.
You better be ready to get impact turned. You better get ready for a procedural argument or a topicality argument or a counter plan. Just a very technically savvy debater who is young and was not on anybody's radar early on. And so should be on everyone's radar now. Like Quinn has been making really great strides this year and has been in a lot of big debates. And I think as somebody who's like thinking about, what makes a good debater, right? Mm-hmm. Like what makes a successful debater, what makes somebody capable of winning nationals, being in big debates is one of those components, right? Yeah. You've got to have debated people that you're going to debate all the way through. And Quinn's already been in a dozen big debates this year. That's dangerous going into nationals for a first year. Right. Quinn's not scared of anybody on the circuit, So number 3, Taylor Tate from Texas State.
Nice little rhyme.
Name that rhymes. Taylor, I think a second year, if I'm not mistaken. Could be a third year, but I'm pretty sure Taylor's in their second year. Just phenomenal debater. Smooth operator. Reads primarily critical arguments, but just one of the kindest people you'll ever see in a debate. Funny, endearing, empathetic, and also just good. Solid at debate. Doesn't make strategic errors. Thinks really hard about debates. Will challenge you as a judge without making you feel like they're, like challenging your decision. Like I've judged Taylor several times where Taylor will, what some people would say is like grill me after the round. But like, I've never felt like Taylor's like, you made the wrong decision, but more along the lines of like, very much engaging of like, how do I get to a place where I can win this debate in front of you? Right. And trying to like ask really hard questions of judges, which not a lot of debaters do. Sometimes debaters will ask confrontational questions or like, why didn't you vote for this? And Taylor's questions are always directed at like, the next time this happens, I want to win. So I want to know how to get to that with you. As far as you're judging this round in the same situation, I want to be able to win. And I think that like, that's something I really respect as a judge going into debates, right? Like it's very much a mutual respect thing. And then our top 2 are our obvious top 2. If you're looking at the entries at this tournament and you told me to pick 2 of the top 2, it would be Ray Fournier, who's number 2 from Western Kentucky, and Cade Blendon from Washburn, number 1.
Right.
And I think that, you could have told me that this order was flipped and I wouldn't have been surprised. Maybe a little bit because the one big head-to-head they had at the Gorlock, Cade ended up winning that debate. So like the one comparative debate that you have, if you're looking at it, is a Cade victory. But I wouldn't have been surprised if people would have put Ray ahead, right? Like Ray has had a lot of big tournament victories this year. And is just like somebody, if you watch debate, both of these debaters don't make mistakes. Right. They're really tough to beat because they practice a lot. They do a lot of research on the topic. Cade's a senior, Ray is scarily a junior.
Oh, really? Well,
Yeah.
Ray,
Ray, Sage are both juniors, and Chase is a sophomore. So Western Kentucky's got a hitter's row coming back next year.
Got it. They're making half of this results list too.
Yes.
Yeah,
and so like thinking about like how do you prepare for these debates at nationals? Minimize your mistakes.
Yeah.
How do you beat Cade Blendon and Ray Fournier? Minimize your mistakes. Don't make them.
Yeah.
Like if you make 0 mistakes in a debate, you have a chance against one of these two debaters because they don't make mistakes either. And that means that you just also have to have good cards. You have to be fast. You have to be technically smart. You have to make good strategic choices. I actually judged a debate between Ray and Sebastian that was about as near perfect as the debate I've seen all year.
Okay.
And we can talk about that debate here in a minute, but let's start talking about some of the tournament results. We only have a few minutes left in the podcast.
We do. But
we talk about these awards. So
I like acknowledging individuals as well. But so I think that's really great. I did want to a quick shout out to the novice closeout for William Pitt.
Yes, once again, Alvin Primack,
very nice.
Getting the novice team going. I think that's their second closeout this year for Pitt.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I think that like if you're looking at who might be in the novice semifinals at nationals, Pitt's gonna probably be there. They've got a bunch of good Pitt novices this year, and Al's been coaching the heck out of them. So shout out to the William Pitt Debating Union and Alvin, and good luck in your prep for the next 30 days for nationals.
Very nice. Okay. So with that being said, looks like the Open in junior have a similar story to tell.
Yeah. So the junior, let's talk about the junior division real quick, because that one's a little weird. Because this tournament allows for strikes and preferences, one of the JV rounds got delayed by one time slot. So JV was running a little bit behind. And by the time he got to Elam 6, it was about 11 o'clock last night.
Oh.
And Chad and I were texting, and neither he nor I, nor his debater, nor my debater, nor Tab, nor the judges wanted to have another debate between Cole and Ben Hoover, which would have been their third debate of the tournament, and would have decided the split because I think, let's see, they debated in round, where are they at? Round 5 results. Where's Ben? Okay, so Ben debated Amia round 5. Ben debated Cole round 4. So Ben won in round 4, and then lost to Cole in round Elim 5. So they were split 1-1, and they would have like decided that like 1-1 split. Chad and I were like, it's 11 o'clock.
Right.
They've debated all day. They both made it to the end of the tournament 9-1, 10-1. Let's declare them the champions.
Okay.
And so the co-JV champions are Cole Ingram and Ben Hoover from Nebraska, Lincoln, and Western Kentucky, unrespected.
Okay.
Ben Hoover from Nebraska, Lincoln, Cole Ingram from Western Kentucky. Sorry, I said that backwards. But it was a very long day, and we did not want to put judges or debaters through any more debates. And they basically were like, yeah, we're cooked. We've had 11 debates in 2 days.
Well, it's good. It's good. Excellent. Okay. But yeah, and so, but in Open here, I see a new team that I don't think I've seen before. Oxford-Emory. What is this?
Oxford-Emory. Yeah. This is one of Emory's kind of debate unions. I don't really know what format they participate in. I think they may be a Parley team. I haven't done a whole lot of research. But from what I've talked to folks on my team about, Sachin was a LD TOC debater.
Okay.
And I actually got to judge them this weekend. Exceedingly quick, exceedingly clear, exceedingly dangerous.
Oh yeah.
Very good debater. Finished 3rd seed. Out of nowhere. Never been to an NFA LD tournament. Came to the Grand Prix, which is considered one of the tougher tournaments of the year. Went undefeated and finished 3rd seed. Like that's If they're going to NFA, watch out. And they do primarily critical debate. right? So they do primarily they were reading ableism and race arguments this weekend.
Okay. They're all one of 3 that went undefeated in prelims, and that was Ray, Cade, and then Sachin. And so, like, that's pretty impressive.
And when we were looking at the All-American Awards, like I said, like those top 2 are pretty obvious if you're looking at the season records.
Right.
And Sachin's like right up there with them, you know?
Right.
So good evidence that if they're going to be at nationals, it's going to be tough.
My goodness. Wow.
So one thing about this tournament is they clear 16 because of the way that double elims works. If you don't clear 16, there's like this possibility of an infinite runoff at the end.
Oh, right.
And so to avoid that, they try to clear a factor of 4 so that the double elims kind of naturally work themselves out. So we had 14 debaters at 3-2, and then Grant and Elena from Nebraska-Lincoln both snuck in as the 15th and 16th seeds. They were the top 2 seeds that did not have a winning record that got into elims. So yeah.
Well, lucky them. All right. Well, like, so Grant sneaks in, but it looks like Grant picks up a freaking round against Cade. My goodness.
Grant beat Cade in the first elim. Cade broke a new half, broke the Palestine half. That round was the round that Cade and Andrew broke the Palestine half.
Okay.
I think we went for a regulatory negotiations counterplan that we've talked about before, if I remember that round correctly. And Grant said it was really close. But that, like, you know, new halves are hard to go for. You need, a lot of things have to go right. And Grant was just like, it was a typical new half debate. I threw the box at him. Cade did what he did, and it was close and ended up winning on a 2-1. So, yeah.
Okay. All right.
Other upsets, I think, in round the first elim, I don't think there were many.
Right. And it's the double elim, so this is just now. One question is the first 2 elims, do they switch sides, or is it?
No, you do the first elim, and then you'll have a winner's bracket and a loser's bracket.
Oh, okay.
And then the winner's bracket, you pair basically top seed and bottom seed, which was unfortunate for Grant, because Grant, being the 15th seed, now in the winner's bracket, debates the 1 seed, who is Ray Fournier.
Yeah.
So Grant got Cade and Ray in the first 2 elims on Sunday morning, which, nice wake up call for a Sunday. Have your coffee, go to church, have some debates.
Wow.
Yeah, Grant did not win that debate against Ray in the second elim. We read our financial technical assistance app, and that we broke at the round robin and did not win that debate.
Right.
Some people who went out after a couple of elims. So I think, Cade lost their second elim as well. So Cade was out after the second elim. Antonina Clementi from Western Kentucky lost after 2 elims. I think Jacayla Brown was out after 2. Yep, Jacayla was out after 2. And then the 4th person out after 2 was, I'm going to say, Jacob Bales, maybe? Nope, Jacob won their first one. Yeah, I can't really tell, but this is a little hard to read. But I think the Cade one was just kind of like reading a new half. Sunday morning debates. The Grand Prix is a long tournament. It's tough debates all the way down. It shows how close this field is right now.
Right.
Set up some good debates in the elim 3. The Oxford-Emory versus Western Kentucky, the 1st seed versus the 3rd seed in elim 3, was a debate I got to judge. Very technically close debate. Like flow heavy, lots of analytics. It was basically a framework debate. Lots of really close argumentation. Ray ends up winning on a 3-0. But I could see a different world where Sachin has different arguments, has a different approach to the debate. Because, technically, both debaters were just as good as each other. I think there were just some strategic choices that Sachin made in that debate that kind of went in Ray's favor decisively. Nick Shinkin puts out Elena Beloshenko in that round in the 3rd elim. Grant loses to Andrew Rea in the 3rd elim. So both of my debaters were out after 3. I think that was also the round that Hunter Squires was out after Elim 3 and Jacob Bales was out after Elim 3.
Okay.
So you get, after 3 elims, you get down to about 8 debaters. You've got the winner's bracket, which is Ray and Sage from Western Kentucky.
Okay.
And then everybody else is in the down 1 bracket. So if you lose after that and you're not Ray or Sage, you're out. And so Sachin loses to Taylor Tate. Andrew Rea loses to Nick Shinkin, and Joshua St. Peter loses to Sebastian Gloss. So those 3 debaters were out. And it basically leaves Sebastian and Taylor to try and fight against 3 Western Kentucky debaters for the rest of the tournament.
Right.
And that fight lasted exactly 1 debate. So no offense to Sebastian and Taylor, y'all put up a good fight. I've been there before. Back when, I think last year when Grant was debating and when Nick Wallenberg was debating for me, man, you'd go to a tournament and you'd clear and you'd look at the bracket and you'd be like, well, assuming we win, it's Western Kentucky in every elim from here to finals. Right. And that's just like, that's a hard tournament because, you're debating the same squad over and over again. And those are tough debates. And so, shout out to Sebastian and Taylor for being the last 2 non-Western Kentucky debaters in the tournament. But both of them lost tough debates in Elim 5. I actually voted for Sebastian in my debate. I thought Sebastian beat Ray in that debate in a pretty close debate. But it was a splitting hairs. One of those debates. Elim 5 between 2 of the top 10 debaters. So.
Well, it's interesting that Ray advanced over Sage, and it kind of feels like a bye for both of them.
Yeah, so one thing about the Grand Prix is they break brackets.
Oh, okay.
So you didn't see any buys in previous elims because they don't break the winners or the loser, or they will break the winners and losers brackets. Okay. They don't allow walkovers unless there's no option. Right. And so the only reason there was a walkover in Elim 4 is because Ray and Sage were the only 2 Elim participants who hadn't lost yet.
Yeah.
They were both in the winner's bracket. Ray, by being dint of the higher seed, I think Western Kentucky advances the higher seed whenever they have 2 debaters meet in elims.
Right.
So, yeah. And then you had Western Kentucky close it out with 3 debaters for the second. Yeah. That's the second time Western Kentucky's done that.
Okay.
Yeah, they did it a few years ago with Andre Sway, Madeline Einhorn, and Tess Welch. So shout out to Chad for twice having the last 3 debaters surviving at the Grand Prix.
Right. And I think last year what we were seeing was Washburn really mopping the floor all season long, and so now it seems to have swung back to Western Kentucky. So
and you can make all the predictions you want. Some people say that this is a pretty decent predictor of nationals. I used to be that the Gorlock was. This year's been a little fragmented. I think nationals is going to be really interesting.
Okay.
There's a lot of people who are competitive who weren't at this tournament. There's a lot of people who are competitive who weren't at the Gorlock. And I think there's a lot of West Coast debaters who are on the case list that I've never seen before. Folks from University of Pacific, Sac State, UNLV. UNLV's been in a few online tournaments, but there's a lot of West Coast debaters that have not really been on the national circuit tournaments. Not really sure what they're going to be reading, how good they are, So for a lot of the Midwest debaters, a lot of people have been doing the kind of Grand Prix, Gorlock, mule tournaments. There's a lot of unknowns out there this year. So I think nationals will be really interesting.
Okay. Well, it seemed so. I like all the extra awards that happen at this one. You know what I mean? I wonder, are those you think those will be formalized beyond because some other debate associations have awards like that they kind of formalize a process for outside of a single tournament. It's more of a long thing.
I think that was kind of the intent with these. I'm not really sure what it would take to make that happen, right? But I think the intent behind creating these awards was if you build it, they will come. Right, the Field of Dreams vision. Right, if you make the awards and keep giving them out, people will want and in my mind, having 4 or 5 tournaments that count towards points. A sweepstakes kind of trophy. Something, who knows? There's a lot of ideas to kind of play around with there. Which brings up the fact that next week we're going to try and have some other coaches on to talk about potential changes, rule changes, evolutions of the activity. That's something sweepstakes trophy for the year for a regular season competition. Who knows? Might draw more attention, might draw more people to more tournaments. All sorts of things that could be done, I think that are on the table for the next few years for this activity.
Also, so you wouldn't have to actually necessarily, enter the tournament in order to be eligible for something like an All-American or something like that.
Right. As long as you were collecting sweepstakes points throughout the year or something like that. So, yeah, all sorts of good ideas. So,
all right. Well, I look forward to it. Seeing you next week.
Happy
St.
Great
Patrick's
talking,
Day.
Jared, and we will see you next week.
All right.